Hello, thank you for joining us today. My name is George Christopher. I'm the Vice President of Emovis and a co-momentum leader of the IBTTA DEI Recognition Group. This is the second in a series of webcasts highlighting diversity, equity, and inclusion in the tolling industry. Today, we are joined by Torey Alston, the newly minted Executive Director of the Greater Miami Expressway Agency. Torey, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Yes, indeed, George. Excited to be here. Thank you and IBTTA and this awesome committee and leadership for having me. Excited for the conversation.
Great. We're thankful you took the time to join us. So our first question, so during the RUC conference, I listened to James Hoffman speak about he highlighted recruiting and retaining new employees as a significant concern of his. And so I have two questions for you. What motivated your entry into tolling, and how does your agency approach recruiting a diverse workforce?
No, that's a great question. And first, let me again thank IBTTA, this committee. Thank you, George, for, really such an awesome conversation and having a very public dialogue with all of our tolling partners and other organizations who really do so much all across the country. I will tell you as a participant, having been there, but separately, look, I have a passion for public service. I think you just said, George. I'm excited that my board of directors just a few weeks ago removed the interim title from my title after almost about 3 years of serving in this leadership capacity, which really has been a very humbling experience, having the opportunity, as you know, with a very public transition from my predecessor agency, going from what used to be MDX, as many in the industry know, the Miami-Dade Expressway Authority, to now the Greater Miami Expressway Agency, which now has responsibility for jurisdiction covering Miami-Dade and Monroe County down in South Florida. So I have a passion for public service. For those who know me, I've been in the public space for about 20 years. Again, I've been about 3 years as the head of the agency, about a year in the building. There's been a whole lot of stuff happening, but some great things have happened actually in the past year, George. I've talked to and just shared some of this with Team Florida because we just had a very public conversation about many of the new initiatives and strategic goals going forward. So I'm excited to share with you and the listening audience that we now have a new mission and vision for GMX. Our board just passed its GMX budget and work program covering the next 5 years. So a lot really has changed positively in the last year. One of our rating agencies noticed our effective governance, our focus around financial stability, our focus around daily operations, and community engagement. And they provided a stable rating outlook. And we're in the process, I think, of getting that across the board. So I'm excited about where we are with GMX. I'll tell you, again, having been in the public service arena for about 20 years before leading GMX, I was chief of staff at the Florida Department of Transportation. Did that for about 3 years under the current governor. I was excited to work with the then secretary, great team, as you know, now I think a $16 billion enterprise at FDOT, now about 6,200 employees, men and women who do great work. So my passion has always been to touch things, fix things, and get things and do it right, solve problems. And that's what DOTs, that's what tolling agencies, toll authorities, transportation authorities do all across the country. And I commend all of them for what they do. I also want to give a shout out, George, to my counterparts, both at the Florida Turnpike Enterprise, as well as my other toll sister agencies, both THEA and CFX. And we all coordinate, do great work here in Florida, along with so many others who I've had conversations with over the past several weeks and months. Let me just jump to the next question. I think the second question you asked me, George, and that was around how we do at GMX in terms of identifying talent. I think we have been spot on. That has been critically important to me. That is one of the areas that we added to a new mission and vision for the governing board. Employees are the heartbeat of the organization. So retention is important. Recruitment is important. But it's actually going to meet, folks where they are. So we've done a good job, I think, of really having inclusive areas on how we reach out to the community, how we connect, whether through traditional channels of the normal website, reach out to the various associations, similar to what was done for my role as the governing board in Florida. My position, I had to go through a very public process. It was a national search required by state law, where we saw, I think, almost 200 applicants, and the board ended up interviewing in person about 3 individuals. So I think what that speaks to is everyone, I think industry is seeing it, other agencies are seeing it, that GMX is stable, it's thriving, and a lot is on the horizon.
Wow, yeah, you got a lot going on down there. So you mentioned, you've mentioned South Florida a few times. A couple weeks ago, I was watching the news, and late May, where in NOAA forecasted that 2024 hurricane season might be one of the most active in history. So, I'm up here in Virginia. It doesn't really affect me so much, but how does an agency prepare for those types of events?
Well, I'll tell you, we down in Florida and really the Southeast, right? Depending where you're on the Atlantic coast or the Gulf Coast, right? Depending where you are, we have unfortunately or fortunately become accustomed to these weather events, rain events, hurricane, tornadoes, different types of disasters. So in Florida, I must say that we have become experts and we are accustomed to dealing with these types of situations really all across the state. So I give kudos to our state leadership. I give kudos to our various toll agencies around the state. FDOT and the Florida Turnpike has always been great partners for us at GMX. I'll tell you that currently, actually, I'm in the middle, as I look outside, I'm in the middle of a rain event that has actually been going on now for several days. I think it's made headlines.
Yeah.
So our state declared a disaster just several days ago from our governor. We've been working, real time with our county, working real time with our local partners, state partners. But I'll tell you that our GMX staff has done a phenomenal job with clearing our drainage systems on all of our roadways and putting visual eyes really across our system to ensure that the traveling public has a quality system. So the good news is, as we're currently in this rain event, as I look outside the window, we have put a lot of preparation, and a lot of preparation was done in advance. So we're able to see and we're able to actually sustain and ensure that there are no negative impacts to our system and to the traveling public. But then I'll just lastly say, again, I think all of our coordination with all of our partners is always helpful, state partners, local partners, and I think our agency has done a good job with that in the past and the present.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I we had a meeting in Florida not long ago, and it was raining. And I'll be honest, I was like, man, wherever there's water, there's alligators, and
That's
that's
right.
all I could think of.
Well, see, we're in Florida, we know, right? And we know anyone who's a fisher, right? If you see a fresh body of water, you have to assume there's a gator.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. So kind of along the lines of hurricane preparedness, Bill Halkias, current president of IBTTA, has prioritized road safety during
Yes.
this year's administration. Could you discuss which aspects of road safety concern you the most?
So I'm going to approach it from a different way. I'm going to give some statistics, at least from Florida, or really more from South Florida, and really the GMX jurisdiction covering Miami-Dade and Monroe that really makes sense. So clearly in Florida, big picture, we have 20 million plus residents. In Florida, we have about 1,000 visitors per day to the state of Florida. A third of those are down in South Florida, which is where we are, covering Miami-Dade and Monroe counties. So that just gives you a sense around the word that is always all of our North Star. How do we relieve congestion?
Mhm.
So I just saw a report that came out that said Miami-Dade, Monroe County, we're the #6 urban area in the country with the most distracted drivers. I just saw another report that came out that said, as we get all of these visitors, as we know that we have a huge population in Florida and South Florida, and guess what? I encourage everyone to continue moving to Florida. We appreciate it. But it also says that we must do more around congestion. we must do more around how we improve and increase travel times for our commuters. So I just had a very public conversation with my governing board at our most recent board meeting on how we can use some clear KPIs, metrics, and measures that we haven't done as an organization that we'll be putting in place very soon. And I'll be sharing that publicly and also sharing it with my IBTTA partners as well. But I think the baseline from the two reports that I saw, one that just came out, I believe last week, really, I think, puts a spotlight on here are the areas that we as toll agencies should focus on. We know that distracted drivers, we know that congestion relief, that's our North Star, but what does that really mean? How do we get there? So look, as the new executive director for GMX, that is my North Star, and that'll be my focus. And it'll be the focus really for my entire administration and staff going forward.
Wow. Okay. No, that's definitely you know, you do a lot of tourism. I went to grad school at William and Mary, and so in Williamsburg, Virginia, you know, you get people just driving and looking around. You got to be careful crossing the street. So,
That's right.
well,
That's
thank
right.
you for all your insight, Tori. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. Any last words for us? When can we expect to see you at the next IBTTA event?
Well, definitely, I'm George. Well, first, let me thank you. This has been a great conversation. Thank you to those who will be watching. I will tell you, GMX is thriving. It's stable. Very soon, we'll be celebrating 1 year in existence based on our new law that went into effect back in 2023. So we're excited about the progress we've seen. We're excited about the achievements. And we're excited about the outcomes, which is really most important for our commuters, which is why we exist as a toll agency. Look, I appreciate this conversation as we continue to talk about engagement, as we continue to talk about inclusion, doing more, engaging all communities. Look, in Florida, we've done a great job of that. We've done a great job in South Florida. Look, we're a melting pot in Florida and South Florida. So I think we know how to do it. We know how to get it right. And I think our state leaders and all of our leaders all the way down and other toll authorities really, I think, know how to do it in Florida. But no, thank you for the conversation. And I'm looking forward to seeing you at the next IBTTA event, which I know is
Yep.
coming up soon, one over in
Yep.
Fort Myers, and then I think in Cleveland, right?
Yes, sir. I'll
All right.
be at both. I'll be at the service project. You got to get there on Saturday for the service project in
That's
Fort
right.
Myers. So,
We will be there.
all right. Look forward to it. Well, thank you, and we hope you all have a great day. And please tune in for the next interview.
Thank you.